Hey guys, Cool Brick here with another custom MOC. This is a rally car, and as you can see, it is in the Lego City minifig scale. And I used a bunch of the decals from the Octan race car set. These two were pre-applied and used in the set, but these ones I had taken off a separate sticker sheet. It's also from the set, and I just put them on these 1x4 panel pieces. As you can see, it's obviously Octan branded, and you've got the red and green Christmas colors going throughout. And the car also has a forward rake to it. You can see that this axle, the rear axle raises the car. And you can also see there are two people inside, amazingly. Which is not something you ever see on Lego City vehicles, especially not a small one. I mean, with some of the trucks, you can sometimes actually squeeze in both minifigs that come with the set, but with this MOC, I managed to fit two minifigs, but there are a few illegal techniques I used, not necessarily for the minifigs, but just in general on the car. So let's take a closer look at some of the details here. So on the front, you can see that I tried to represent some flip headlights. So the lights that will be down on the hood and then they'll flip up when you turn them on. So that's what those are supposed to be. And then you can see I have the aftermarket lights on here. This is one of the illegal techniques to do this. I really wanted this piece down here, this black element, as a splitter on the front bumper, but then I had these annoying holes in this front vehicle element that Lego always uses, and I couldn't put any studs there because of the way that the diffuser curled around. So at first I just put these animal tooth pieces, and at first I just had it like this, but then I had an idea to actually take one of these thin Technic lift arms and just stick it right on there. So that's not really attached very strong. You just push it on until there's friction in those horn pieces to hold that lift arm on. And then so it actually looks pretty good as a light bar on the bottom of the front. As you can see, just general front stuff. It's a little bit blocky around here, unfortunately, but did my best. Got the Octan logo and everything. Got some mirrors here. You have the number 1, and the roof is made up of one of these standard roof pieces and then some not standard roof pieces, and some bricks in here. And as you can see, I wanted the car to be a hatchback, so that was kind of what I was going for with the shaping of the cab section. Then in the back, you just have the two tail lights. Because it's not like the taillights help the driver see where they're going. So rally cars tend not to have like super fancy taillights, but they always have a ton of headlights and floodlights and light bars and everything. You can also see I have some exhaust tips down here, which I just did using one of these elements under here, and there's plenty of ground clearance to accommodate for that because the rear axle raises the rest of the car. And I think now I can just quickly show you guys the inside. So this comes off separately, and this comes off separately. So unfortunately, the front section here, the way I did this, it's not quite tall enough to accommodate the driver with a helmet. And I'd originally wanted to put a navigator figure in here, but I ended up coming with a little story to kind of make an excuse for the reason why the driver is not wearing a helmet. So the driver decided to bring along his wife on a joyride in his rally car. So this is his wife back here, and that was originally where the navigator was going to sit, but she's just sitting there, and he gave her his helmet because he wanted to make sure she was safe, because he's a gentleman like that, because he didn't have another helmet for her. So yeah, and he's bald. So pretty much that's my alibi for why he's not wearing a helmet, and for making the driver actually fit. And the other cheating technique I use here that's not illegal. Standard Lego building technique is that this is not actually fixed to anything, the steering wheel. I just have it in his hand because I didn't have any way to fit it in here and actually have it solidly attached in a compact manner that this would fit over everything and he would be in the furthest front studs in his sitting place. So really the best way I could come up with is just attach this minifig gun element to the back of the steering wheel and represent the, I guess, steering shaft or steering column. I don't really know the technical names, obviously, but the thing that the steering wheel would attach to, I just kind of put that there, and then it's just in his hand. And the steering wheels are slightly smaller than bar size, so it's not actually clipped into his hand, but it does hold in there quite nicely and doesn't jiggle around or fall out. And especially when the windshield's on, nothing goes gets loose. And so thankfully it all just fits together very nicely. Maybe a few cracks here and there, but for the most part I was pretty lucky getting all of this to fit together. Unfortunately, I ran out of 1x1 white plates over here. I think I only had a couple left and I really didn't want to use them because I'd already used like 4 on this build. So I just put some 1x1 plates, or tiles, so these don't fully attach. But as you can see, it is a pretty decent build. I spent a lot of time, as I do with all of the minifig scale cars, trying to cram as much detail as possible, which really is quite a challenge when you're building in these puny scales, especially when unfortunately the best elements to use for good looking cars often is these prefab elements like these wheel arch pieces and these roof pieces and that kind of stuff, and the base. So you know, it's tough. I mean, I've done custom bases and things before, but in the end, usually the best option is just to go with the prefab stuff and really just try and work around it. So I think that I've actually come up with a good medium with my last few vehicle MOCs. So yeah, sorry for talking so much for such a little thing, but I hope you guys like this MOC and are hopefully inspired to go and make your own city scale vehicles. And as always, thanks for watching, and don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.